All right, welcome to Two Sons Podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Shogun episode 4 is the name of the game today. You want to hear something kind of sad?
What?
I think there's only 6 episodes in the season.
No way.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Dang,
I was looking at the Hulu page, and they have the following 2 advertised as obviously like this coming Monday and then the following Monday or whatever. But there's I suppose it's moving pretty quickly now, but I just assumed we were getting 10 episodes of this, which is kind of a bummer.
We're starting to get like the large scale like battle scene vibes that you get with like the Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
It's hitting the fan. To put it simply, the shit hit the fan in this episode. But it'll work out perfectly though, because like we still need to finish Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we have a bunch of Bad Batch to catch up on.
Dude, we're so behind on Bad Batch. We're doing such a bad job on Bad Batch.
But we should have a little space between Shogun and Fallout where we need to hit some of this stuff.
Yeah,
which
we've got a lot to do before Fallout.
Yes,
that's coming up soon.
There's a lot. Yeah, we've got a lot to get into.
We've also kind of abandoned the book that we're reading.
I know.
Too.
We got to get back into books. Yeah, we were reading of several important Star Wars books for the some of the Sith stuff that we've been doing, but that's going to have to wait at least a little bit longer.
Let's be real though, Shogun's hot.
Shogun
right
is great, man. People
are into Shogun.
Dude, so a really, really, really interesting episode starts with the boat making its way to the fishing village. Mm-hmm. There's this cool scene where all of the samurai are waiting on the beach, all of Yabushige's samurai. There's kind of a moment where Toranaga comes out and like waves to everybody and gets his kind of like ovation.
Right.
And then he just gets back on the boat and leaves.
I know.
He's like, peace out, guys. And
hey,
leaves the rest of his crew
I'm
there.
very proud of y'all. Peace and blessings.
Yeah. And so the next phase of this episode is this weird
and
kind
even
of
Blackthorn's like, what the hell?
Yeah, Blackthorn's like, what the heck? Like, he gets pissed off pretty quick because the next phase of the episode is basically like twofold. There's the Yabushige and his nephew Kashigi just like openly plotting against Toranaga, like just openly plotting. Which, by the way, revealed what you had been suspicious of since the beginning. I was a little more on the fence about, but you were right. Yabushige, total scumbag.
Yes,
tried to screw over his lord.
Dude, his little like bows that he does that are like kind of excessive when he's acting all modest and like small, even though he's like a backstabbing, conniving, like little man in the background.
There's something about his like demeanor though that like I find inherently likable.
Dude,
which is
I know.
very unusual.
He's such an unlikable character. And he's like burning people alive in witch cauldrons. Yeah. Dude, I think he's gonna flip. I think he's gonna end up being a good guy.
Well, he has no choice now, which we're gonna get to at the end.
Yeah, I know.
He has no choice now. But anyway, while they're openly plotting, the Anjin, John Blackthorn, is really pissed off because he feels like he's been given what's the name it's Hadamoto, I think is the title that Toranaga gave him.
Yeah.
And so because he has this fancy title, he basically gets like a mansion with servants, or at least the equivalent
and
in,
a wife
in feudal Japan.
Like, hey, you're married now.
In a consort, right? So like we did have an interesting scene where the consort lady basically is like, I don't want to do this. Her name's Fuji. She doesn't want to do this, but Mariko, I think is her name, ends up saying basically,
Lady
Mariko says to her like, hey, like this is how we serve. This is how we continue the fight, right? You know, so she agrees to do it. There's this weird scene where like John does what he does a lot in this show, which is like push back on Japanese customs and like turn down the honors. Like,
he's like, I don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm mad. And he feels like he's in jail while he's trapped on this place.
He's 100% in fancy jail.
Yeah, he's in fancy jail. He's in luxury jail. He's in douchey jail.
Right.
But he eventually just kind of accepts his responsibility. We have this really cool scene where John tries to bring some pistols out to the artillery training, and basically Kashigi shows up and is like, "Give me the pistols."
Dude,
and
I love
like,
that he just points them directly at him.
Oh yeah,
it just had such like American filmmaking vibes with like the pistols out all of a sudden. It's just this like show about Japan, and we're talking about samurai swords, and all of a sudden the pistols are out, and it takes 2 seconds until one's pointed directly in someone's face.
No, it was great. And then like literally like it starts to escalate, but then the consort Fuji comes in and basically saves the day.
It was so awesome.
Talks to Mariko, asks her to tell the Anjin to give her the pistols.
Yeah.
He does end up agreeing. Then Kashigi goes in to like ask for the pistols from Fuji, and Fuji like straight up is like,
and it's so cool too because it must be a custom for them not to touch the weapons with their hands. Did you notice that? Like when she was handling her father's samurai swords before she gave him to Blackthorn, she like wasn't.
So you think that's specifically weapons?
I don't know, or something that's of importance, perhaps. We'll have to look into that. But I like that she was pointing it, but she wasn't. She was still like holding it in her gown.
Yeah,
which was cool.
I noticed that too. The hands thing, but I didn't pick up, and I think you might be onto this, but I think you're right. I think it might have something to do with weapons.
Yeah.
But anyway, so over the next stretch of the episode, the Anjin is out training the artillery group, and there's this cool scene where like basically like they're like, hey, like give us your modern military tactical advice, and he's like, I am a pilot, not a soldier, and
I read about a battle.
I told Toranaga this, like blah blah blah. But what he does bring is he goes like, hey, like, and this is something that's really interesting. It's something that another Game of Thrones similarity. So in Game of Thrones, the Northmen are like exceptionally good at living in the cold weather in the north and like hunting and all these different things, right? And then when you go down to the Reach, it's like they're exceptionally good at farming. Like that's what they're good at. If you go out to Driftmark, they have a super powerful navy because that's what they like. They're literally a coastal community. It's their way of life, and you kind of get that vibe from the message from John Blackthorn, which is basically like, hey, in England, we got ships, man.
This is what we do. Cannons,
and we have some crazy cannons, and like, and the samurai start talking about how the cannons historically are inaccurate, and he's like, well, let me show you, and he sets up these targets that are only like 3 feet by 6 feet, like they're pretty narrow targets.
Pretty impressive,
and he's just going to town, like they're like dead on. I thought it was cool. Really interesting to see them use I had never, obviously as a kid, my dad had a Civil War interest in Civil War history, so like we would go to all these battlefields when I was a kid, and like I'd see the cannons, but I never really like thought about how the actual artillery process worked. And I thought it was really interesting how they almost had like a shim. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a giant wooden shim that they hammer on either side to like
it makes sense.
It properly, and then like in theory on the wheels you could just kind of lift the tongue and make these minor shifts, but essentially if you had a rifled cannon barrel and you understood the weights and the stuff and like whatever weather calculations they have to make, you could be accurate with it, and they figured out how to do that.
Dude, I could see how cannons would be wildly inaccurate though, because like first of all, it'd be hard to aim a cannon. The barrel's massive, number one. Number two, you'd have to have the exact same amount of powder with each shot for it to have the same speed and trajectory coming out.
You're right.
Like that would be such a freaking pain. And then not only that, there's massive movement in the barrel after you shoot a cannon.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like reset every single shot. It'd be such a pain.
It'd be a total pain. And but essentially it makes some sense though that the English, like because of their navy, would be exceptionally
if they're going to be good at
artillery.
It's them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like he basically goes like, I think you guys are going about this the wrong way. We really need to be looking at the artillery. If we parked one ship with accurate cannon outside of their harbor, we could do serious damage. And then obviously he's like, I will teach you how to build more ships and we can do more. So he's basically directing it towards that. And there's this kind of back and forth scene where we're kind of going back and forth between like John Blackthorn settling into his like mansion life and totally hitting it off with Mariko.
Oh yeah,
and then also going out to the artillery fields and doing artillery stuff. So there's this funny scene where Mariko basically jumps him in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
and then literally like they wake up the next morning and they're having their coffee, and Mariko's like hope you enjoyed your gift last night.
Yeah,
and he's like. What? And she's like, yeah, the whatever the word they use for
doing it,
basically is like and she did you notice she specifically said like Fuji and I sent her in there,
right?
And what was crazy about that to me was like so that means that Mariko went up to Fuji first and was like, hey, listen,
I've got a great
really
idea.
think we should send John someone tonight.
Yeah,
okay? So
I'll do it
right when you leave. I'll send her in. Okay, are you cool with that? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then she just went for it,
dude.
So like, power move on Mariko's part. Like,
Mariko knows what she wants.
Yeah, she was laying down the groundwork well in advance of the move that she made on John Blackthorn. So she makes a move on John Blackthorn. we have this really weird sequence where they're doing an artillery practice, and basically Ishido's right-hand man, the guy that followed them outside of Osaka the last time, he shows up. And when he shows up,
he's a cool character, by the way.
Oh,
just
I
like
agree.
Side note, like his large scar across his face just makes him look a little bit battle worn and like capable.
In the way that all of the what do you call it? The council people, whatever they call them. In the way that all of the
like
five,
all the lords,
the group of 5 councilmen or whatever. I'm blanking on what the name they used was, but those guys seem to be very bureaucratic. And like it makes some sense that like he would have a right-hand man that's more of like his army commander.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Makes total sense.
So he sends him down. They don't know what they're gonna do. But what's his name? Yabushiki runs out and meets him, like kind of in private, and goes like, "Hey man, like I'm still with you guys, but like this is bad timing, like blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And so he basically salvages the situation by being like, "Hey, why don't you stay with us, and then tomorrow we'll give you guys a demonstration of the artillery." Because basically what he says is like, the right hand man of Ishido is like, "Dude, what are you doing out here training a regiment for Toranaga?
Right.
Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Dude, I need these cannon. Like, wait till you see these things." And he's like, "All right, well, I'll stick around and I'll come see it tomorrow." So then but Toranaga's son is there for all of this, and Yoshi, and he just sees through all of it. He's like, these dudes are up to no good, right? So
he is pissed.
He's super pissed. Then we have this really interesting scene where Yabushiki and his son Kashigi have this conversation about
his nephew,
have this conversation about how they're kind of screwed,
right?
And his nephew goes like, "Hey, I have an idea." And then, like, we don't see what the idea is.
And it's tough because the nephew's definitely playing both sides, right? Like, big time. And you really don't know what side he's on until after the fit hits the shan, which we'll get to.
Yes. So, and I'm not even sure what you're referencing, so I'm excited to hear that. So, but anyway, it turns out Kashigi's big plan is to basically talk Yoshi into doing something stupid. So he basically sits down and like starts kind of like subtly jabbing at his dad. And remember, we had that scene in the end of the last episode where Yoshi talked to Toranaga and was like, "Hey, let me do more stuff." And Toranaga's like, "No, you're not going to do more stuff."
Yeah, little boy.
Yeah, exactly. Like little boy. So anyway, he so like Kashigi very much plays on that and kind of like fuels it. And so then he basically goes like, "I'm going to take care of this." The climactic scene. They take him out there. They set him up. They're going to do a demonstration. Unreal. It turns out that Yoshi has hidden some of the cannon way out in the distance. He has lined up a perfect shot. And then there's this weird moment where he's like, "Everyone get out of the way." And they all like kind of run out of the way. And everyone's like, "What's going on?" And then, when I tell you these cannon fuck these dudes up, like
it's hard to watch.
It's gnarly.
And I was trying to explain to Elena. I was like, this show isn't as graphic as Game of Thrones because she watched episode 4 with me and she hasn't seen anything else, but I was actually able to bring her up to speed pretty easily, you know? And I was like, the show is graphic, but it's like randomly super graphic. And this is a prime example where it like went from 0 to 100 in no time at all.
But it's graphic in a way that isn't unnecessarily
correct.
Graphic,
I totally agree.
Which I really appreciate. Like we're watching.
Totally agree.
We're 3 episodes in on our rewatch of House of the Dragon as we're kind of prepping for season 2, which comes out this summer. And like, even just in House of the Dragon, which is like a later version of Game of Thrones when they're not as in your face as they were in the past, there's still like these scenes where you're like, I didn't need to see the crab like actually eating his flesh, you know, like that kind of thing.
No, I totally agree.
You've actually seen this, so you know what I'm talking about. But like, it feels very intentional that the violence and the graphic nature of this show is meant to send clear messages in terms of like kind of the reality of
and
what was happening. For instance, like, I thought it was really cool at the end when I think Yoshi walks up to the commander of Ishido's military unit, and he's all fucked up. Like, he's missing like 3 limbs, and he's like all bloody on the verge of death. Yeah. And he basically, I can't remember the exact word he says, but he basically looks at him like, "This is barbaric, what you guys have done here."
Yeah,
like,
he said this is not how samurai fight.
Yeah, he's like, "This is not," and he basically look. And what was super fascinating about it is like, because he was so messed up, and because we just saw dudes get vaporized literally by cannon shells.
Yeah, or I think those were the chain
shot. Yeah,
the chain shot.
But you actually see that, and you go like, "This is so unbelievably like over the top." you can see now why like some of the samurai are like, whoa, this is not right. Like we shouldn't be able to do this to other like.
And they did it from a distance, and that's
they did it from a distance. Couldn't even see the
powerful.
Cannon. Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Is like you can. I thought that they showed the violence of the cannon for the very distinct purpose of letting us understand. Like, I'll give you an example. They did not. Game of Thrones would have showed us the seppuku. They would have showed us that dude.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Cutting his stomach and dying. Like, this show was like, they get it.
It was more tasteful.
They can get it.
It carried more weight by showing the wife's reaction to it than by showing it actually happen. Right? Yeah. No, like this show.
As she walked out, you mean? And then she shut the doors. Yeah.
I'm shocked that I'm saying this, but in some ways, this show is very tasteful.
Yeah, no, it is. It is though. Like it's
right. It's super intense, but it's way more tasteful than Game of Thrones. For sure.
And it doesn't. But it does try to send a clear message in terms of like the reality of some of the stuff that was going on in that era. And I honestly thought like, so we get this epic shot at the end. Well, first of all, you tell me, what was the scene that you thought that revealed Kashigi's
Yabushigi's nephew Kashigi. So as Tornaga's son Yoshi is walking up to Yabushigi and his nephew, Yabushigi's freaked out, right? He realizes that war was just waged and he's on the wrong side, or what he feels is the wrong side. Yeah.
And there's no way Ishido would take him back at this time.
The nephew is smiling like a freak in the background.
Really?
Yes. He has this like grim, nasty smile.
Wow.
You should check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to look it out.
It is weird. I was like, is that dude smiling? And I went back and he's smiling. So either he's really happy. He's happy for some reason, right? Either he wants war for some reason, or he's happy that Tornaga's son, I don't know, stood up for himself. I feel like he wants war. I feel like he wants. I think
you're referencing like the scene from his wife that said like, "What if you were Lord?" Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. So and then he wants power.
Explain what happened in that scene.
Oh, so essentially, him and his gal are getting it on essentially, and then she pretty much is in his ear, like trying to make him want power.
Yeah, she's manipulating,
which is kind of weird. Yes. But he feels like whatever just happened with Tornaga's son waging war, he feels like he can gain from it somehow.
Clearly,
and I don't know what the angle is. I don't know what the angle is.
Maybe he approaches Toranaga and goes like, "Yabushigi was plotting against you. Give me his territory." Like that. Yeah, that could be literally what he ends up doing.
I feel like he's going to shoot himself in the foot.
Yeah, that's going to go poorly. Like Kashigi is very clearly being set up for a grisly end. That is where that's headed. I'm with you in the sense that I could see Yabushigi kind of like having more of a positive turn, like, oh shit, I have to be with Toranaga now. Because like again, as we look back at the whole episode, Mariko has a scene where she looks over at John Blackthorne, because John Blackthorne was getting ready to run out into the, and she grabs him and is like, do not do anything. Like,
she keeps having to do that to him, just like, shut up.
Yeah, stop. Just cut
stop.
It out.
Yeah,
dumbass.
This is not how we do things.
Yeah. And now I'm in charge of you because of what happened last night.
Yeah.
So
I'm your sitter.
Yeah, exactly. So like, but like, she basically goes like, this is war. Like, so it's clear that it's going down now. So basically, to make a long story short, Yoshi has now undoubtedly put himself in Toranaga's doghouse by starting the war without his approval while he was away.
Dude, he's such a little
idiot. Such an idiot. Then we have Kashigi and what play he's going to make in terms of like trying to leverage this into a situation where he gains power.
Right.
We have now Yabushigi is going to have to literally completely redefine his entire strategy of how to proceed because he's no longer able to help Ishido. Like like
his cannons.
I know I
literally
just killed your leader of war or whatever, but I'm still with you guys.
I'm still with you. Yeah.
It was a great demonstration.
Hey, you know what? It was another misunderstanding.
But
and Toranaga is just off somewhere
doing
else.
whatever. I would presumably he's in like Edo doing something, which is a place we haven't seen yet.
He's doing some trickery stuff. Well, he might be. I bet he's trying to get more forces. Is my take on that. Like
he's doing something.
There's no way that Yabushigi's forces are enough to take on 4 other clans or 3, I don't know if they're called clans or not, but lordships, fiefs. Yeah. Whatever it's called. There's no way that Toranaga has that much power yet.
Yeah. So. And like I do think, I think Toranaga was clearly aware that war was on the horizon. I think him withdrawing from the council was a big indicator of that. I think one of the other important lines was one of the things that Yoshi and Kashigi's conversation had, which is when Yoshi looked back at him and was like, I know what my father would say. And he goes like, I can't remember the exact words he used, but he basically said like he's like, never strike first.
Yeah.
Be patient and wait for your enemy to make a mistake and then make a move. That's
little
what
boy.
That's
and then
what
he does the
saying.
opposite.
Yeah, because to their point, like you didn't actually deal Ishido's military a real blow.
Right.
You killed one of their commanders, and that obviously is something. But like in terms of the actual force that they can bring to bear.
Right.
All you really did is destroy a messaging party. And so
which is just a terrible look on so many levels.
It's so many different levels. And there's a real like, did you fight with honor thing going on there too, where it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if that I bet you our next episode starts with some sort of Ishido moment with the council where he specifically states that not only did this guy get killed, but that he was killed without honor.
Right.
That he was killed in a sneak attack from artillery from really far away.
Not good.
Yeah. I also even wonder, just strictly from the standpoint of like the messenger service, like how this message is going to get back. Like,
true.
Like,
I know. I was wondering about that.
But
too.
like if Toranaga has spies, there's no reason to think that Ishido doesn't have spies. And
Right.
it's very possible that he has somebody that was at this damn event.
True. True.
But it's hitting the fan. It's
and
going
that's
down.
and I was thinking about that too, like a messenger group back then, it obviously serves a very important purpose, which is one of the reasons why the term is don't kill the messenger, because that's how you communicate. But I feel like that's like a small little plot area that's just going to get glanced over. Like,
so?
like
we'll just skip ahead to war.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well,
pretty
which,
much.
by the way, with only 2 episodes left, I don't know if they have much time to mess around with that.
True.
Specifically.
They just all of a sudden have like a full naval force, just like ready to go. And a Star Destroyer.
Are you ever going to watch Dune?
Dude, yeah.
We had a comment asking.
I know. Oh, we did?
Yeah. Someone saying hey man, you guys need to cover Dune.
I know.
I'm ready to talk about Dune for the record.
Every hour that goes by, it's just like less and less relevant. I really want to watch Dune.
It's only been like a week and a half.
I know.
We're still in the window.
We're behind the game. Yeah, we're behind. I definitely want to check it out because I heard it's really good.
It's very, very good.
And
it's right up our alley.
Yeah.
I think our listeners would like it too.
I need to check it out.
I think it's worth you checking out.
Dude, and we'll take you and Carly up with some childcare.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I want to hang out with G-Man. Play. What did you name our game of catch?
J-Ball.
J-Ball. Yeah.
Dude, he's doing this thing where he's got 4 teeth now. And we're driving back from Mexico, right? Mexico was a blast, by the way.
I heard it was cold.
It was cold, but dude, going to Mexico is just a vibe.
It is a vibe. I miss Mexico. It's been like 2 years since I've been there. We in Arizona, we go to Mexico a lot.
And G has started grinding his like he's got like little beaver teeth, like 4 teeth in the front, and he's like grinding them together, and it's the worst. It is the worst. We're trying to get him to stop. We don't know what to do.
Have you Googled it?
No, but we keep like
surprised you haven't.
We're giving him stuff, and then he like chew on it instead. But I'm sure he's doing it in like the middle of the night. We didn't talk about one important thing, which was Blackthorn receiving the samurai swords from.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
From what's her name? The consort
Fuji.
from Fuji. That was just a meaningful exchange, right? And I think the thing that's making me think about that is how Fuji and Lady Mariko are going to navigate that, because like obviously Fuji seems to be liking Blackthorn all of a sudden, and obviously Lady Mariko is too.
So I'm going to go the opposite direction on this. I don't think Fuji likes. I mean, I think she's gaining respect for him. I mean, just like any normal person would after spending time with another person,
reasonable person.
Yeah, like a good person of any kind. But I don't like when he gave her the gun, she was like, "What the fuck am I gonna do with this?" And Mariko's like, "I think he's trying to be nice."
Yeah,
it's like, and then she turned around and got the samurai sword. So like,
true.
I actually. And honestly, looking back at the situation with Toranaga now, where we were kind of confused about his wife's situation. I kind of feel like they're doing a good job of kind of explaining that there's a difference between a consort and whoever.
Sure.
But like at the same time, like I don't really fully understand that dynamic yet. So we'll see how it plays out.
Right. You're right. It could be a total non-issue.
I do see a universe where Mariko and Blackthorn fall in love, but it's like taboo for them to actually be together. Like
Agreed.
That could definitely be a thing.
It is because
she did hide it.
And Blackthorn hates Catholics.
Yeah,
and Lady Mariko's Catholic.
That's a great point.
Seemingly by choice, but I'm not really sure. Like, is she I don't know how Catholic or not Catholic she is.
I don't know how Catholic or not Catholic
really
she
hard
is
to get
either.
a read.
I get the feeling that she is a believer, but that she struggles with it.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
kind of
so.
the way I look at it.
Maybe
but
so.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
because
tough.
she is just kind of like effing around.
She
Like, that's not super Catholic. I'll tell you.
the late
That is not in the catechism.
the late night
of the Catholic Church.
the late night appearance into John
Yeah.
Blackthorn's room frowned upon.
Yeah, that's
In the Catholic religion.
Right. So, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I think I had one more thing. I'm trying to remember. Maybe not.
No?
Maybe not.
Get it for next time?
Yeah,
Dude, we
we'll
still
get it
need
for
to do
next
the
time.
personality quiz. I did mine.
I
You got to do
know.
yours.
Honestly, I was complaining to Luke before the show because like I'm like heading into my busiest part of the year, and we're really ramping up in general. And then I took some time off in January, and then I'm taking another vacation in late March where I'm out of town for 5 days, and so like I feel this like need to just always be working. And then we've also just had a busy social calendar. Like Carly and I have had one night off since she got back from got back from San Francisco, and like
That's tough.
literally like Monday night we had dinner with the Clunes. Tuesday night, last night we had I had family in town from Texas, so like we were out with them all night. It's like tonight I work. Tomorrow night we have birthday party for your wife and for Marcus's wife, and so it's like it's just life, man. Life just gets going.
It's
and
busy,
then,
man.
And then what ends up happening is like it's just really, really hard. I'm sure you noticed this just with like woodworking and other things like that, where it just gets to the point where you certain things just kind of get put on the back burner. Our book
100%.
is a great example.
Our book, yeah.
But that said, like I like we're gonna make time. Also, like weirdly, when I get into the playoffs, I have way more time during the day.
Well, it makes sense because you're doing like all the post
night
reactions.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like you have late nights.
Yeah.
Of course.
So like that's going to be a really good stretch for us to get caught up on some stuff.
True.
And that's literally a month away. But that said, I do want to make sure we get to Bad Batch in detail. I do want to finish Mr. and Mrs. Smith just because I think it gives us something to talk about. Fallout's going to be incredible.
Fallout's going to be right up our
Fallout
alley
starts
too.
in April. House of the
Early
Dragon,
April, right?
Early April. House of the Dragon starts in like June.
We're good.
So,
and
like,
then there's some Star
and then
Wars
there's,
stuff.
I
want to
say Andor season 2 or something's coming out. So like we're actually heading into starting with Shogun, like a really good. By the way, shout out! We for the first time ever, we went over 1,000 views on an episode.
Thank you,
which was really cool.
Yeah, and we appreciate all the positive comments too. Like we really do.
Fun.
Thank you.
I have a feeling that this year is going to be a big year for Two Sons Podcast. It's going to be fun.
That's cool.
All right, guys. As always, we appreciate you guys for supporting the show. We will certainly be back in a week for Shogun episode 5, maybe for some additional stuff as well. We'll see how it goes.
We
But
need
if
to
not,
get some
we'll see
Bad
you
Batch
then.
in.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.